relationships to one of the most famous songs, Autumn Leaves. Let's see what's gonna happen in this interaction. Before going into details about the improvisation, let's analyze the minor harmony. Actually, there's no big difference between the major tonality and minor tonality because they have very common notes. That's why, for example, when we talk about the related minor and we use a natural minor, for example, when we want to learn the relative minor of the C major, we said, okay, this is A minor, A natural minor, because when we have the A natural minor, this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then when we have the C major, C, D, E, when we have the A minor, La, Si, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, when we have the C major, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si. As you can see from these two the scales, they are common, but the only difference is the beginning note. Let me write the A minor, A natural minor for you, and then I will show the relationship. I will show the structural relationship between the natural minor and also the song Autumn Leaves, and we'll check the chord scales and it will apply the factorial rhythm, and you can see the in 8 measures, because I will use the 8 measures of Autumn Leaves, and you can get the sense of clear perception about the harmonic structures and clear perception about the hearing the chord changes, and also in terms of rhythmic variations you can have very safe ground to approach the song. Okay, and we have A minor, a natural minor, A, B, C, D, A, F, and G. Okay, let's deconstruct the 7th chords. A minor 7, B minor 7, flat 5, C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, and G dominant 7. Roman numeral analysis, we have 1 minor 7, 2 minor 7, flat 5, flat 3 major 7, because we are taking reference for the interval distance. When we have the A and C, this is minor third, that's why we use flat 3. But in classical music theory, we use just 3 because the key is more important than the scale in classical music theory. And we have 4 minor 7, 5 minor 7, flat 6 major 7, and flat 7 dominant 7. Okay, let's talk about the chord scales. And that's very funny because when you start the construct from C, you will get the same chord scales in C major. Let me show this. This is Ionian, this is Dorian, this is Phrygian, this is Lydian, this is Mixolydian, this is Aeolian, and this is Locrian. Okay, they are C major tonality and A minor tonality are very close. Okay, but we have also other minor scales, right? Melodic minor and harmonic minor. According to compositional issues, according to compositional approaches, sometimes composers, they use the chords from harmonic minors, sometimes they use, if they want to use more tonal color, harmonic minor. If they want to use more modal color, they use natural minor. But I don't want to give the details about the chord scales for the melodic and the harmonic minor. You can get all the information. But the important thing about it, how they interact, how they combine in terms of structural relationships. And also, if I get any chords from other scales, I will let you know. Okay, let's talk about the Autumn Leaves. The first 8 bars. D minor 7, G dominant 7, and C major 7, F major 7, then B minor 7 flat 5, and E dominant 7, we'll talk about that chord, and A minor 7. And let's do the analysis. 4 minor 7, flat 7 dominant 7, and flat 3 major 7, flat 6 major 7, 2 minor 7 flat 5, and 5 dominant 7. We have 2-5 patterns here, and again another 2-5 patterns here. Let's remember our factorial rhythms. This is our factorial rhythmic. And I don't want to give the division, I will just write the whole phrase. This is the first bar, phrase the second one. Okay. This is the main phrase to internalize the chord scales and harmonic structures. This is the rhythmic phrase to internalize the harmonic structure and root motion, and we'll apply them to chord scales and roots. Okay, and I just forget this one. 1 minor 7. Okay, this is and also each bar we have, and this is that each chord occupies just 1 bar. Okay, let me show this. Each chord occupies 1 bar, and according to that structure, for example, ta, tika, tika, ta, for example, we have this D minor for this, and the second part, ta, 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 tika. Okay, and let's apply this. This is the first chord, D minor 7. then G dominant 7, then C major 7, F major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, then E dominant 7. Okay, and E dominant 7 is coming from harmonic minor to give the real tonal closure. This is why they picked that chord at the end of the sentence. Okay, let's apply these rhythmic phrases into our first root, then the chord scales. And for example, I will sing the root for you like okay, very clear. And what about the chord scales? You can have the descending version. Then, what about the improvisation? I just gave you some directions. For improvisation, I mean, you need to have kind of the repeated applications, repeated playing, repeated hearing, and after certain level, I'm always, feeling the kind of the resemblance between when you want to swim and for example, for your father, he was trying to carry from your belly part, right? Because you need to kind of the synchronicity between your movements, body movements, to get the flow, right? It happens in improvisation exactly in the same way. Okay, that's why that creates kind of the preparation for your flow, and then when you leave this phrase, and you can, and also if you can get real, if you have the enough experience about that exercises, then you can create your own lines in a very relaxed and free manner. I'll do improvisation on the base of these phrases, but I will try not to use these phrases. I will try to develop my own ideas, but you will have the sense of this rhythmic, the bass, and also let's see what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen, and this is a kind of the real improvisational session. Maybe you don't like it, maybe I don't like it, maybe I change it. I don't know, we'll see. Okay. This is just phrase. This is very clear. This is not kind of innovation. There is no revolution in that improvisation, but it can work, right? I mean, if you start from what is working, then you can prepare your development. You can prepare the ground for your progress. This is very important. But in most of the jazz improvisation exercises, people are trying to push the limits without having safe ground. That creates confusion because you cannot get the real integration process and you cannot experience the step-by-step progress. This is very, very important. And when I found that connection, when I found out how much these rhythmic cycles, rhythmic phrases are working for my improvisation, perception for the improvisational studies, I presented to my students and I saw incredible the progress in their improvisation. First of all, in terms of emotional connection, they didn't feel kind of the gap between the formal structure and their improvisation. As you see from that 8 bars, and you can get the idea about the structure. You don't think that, okay, I have to follow each chord. No, it is coming naturally because you are focusing on the unity of the structure. When you feel the unity, when you get the real shape about the structure, it's like I'm always using that analogy. For example, right now, you can understand my words, right? You can understand my sentences. But if you want to focus on my H alphabet, it's impossible to understand what I'm trying to say, right? It is same for improvisation. But the main base for improvisation, to get the meaningful contact, you should start from the rhythm. See you in the next video.